Father Fr Noel Connolly was ordained in Gympie by Bishop Henry Kennedy on July 8, 1969. He immersed himself in a life that he described as a vocation to inspire holiness and hope, through witness to the presence and activity of God in human affairs. As a Columban missionary, he was first sent to Seoul in South Korea, where he described his short years there as a struggle, but also as a time of learning and developing. In 1974, he went to study moral theology at the Alfonsianum University in Rome, before returning to Australia to teach in the seminary from which he had graduated. In 1979, he became rector of the seminary and director of the Pacific Mission Institute, later Columban Mission Institute, and faced challenges of organizing an institute that would accommodate seminarians, men and women religious, as well as laypeople in an atmosphere of prayer, reflection, study and recreational life. In 1988, he was elected Vicar General of St. Columban's Mission Society. Then in 2006 to 2011, he was appointed as the Regional Director of St. Columban's Mission Society in Australia and New Zealand.
Our job, rather than doing all the good or taking all the credit, is really to discover the good, to be able to see it in other people and to rejoice in it. Our real task is to be a sign and sacrament that there is good in the world. Encourage people to look for it. People should look at us and take hope that there is a future, that love is worthwhile, that they can discover good things in their lives. Our job is not so much to pump religion into people, but to draw it out.
From 2013 to 2020, Noel joined the Columban Mission Institute in Sydney, where he worked closely with Catholic Mission and Broken Bay Institute. Throughout his time in Sydney, Noel published 3 books. In 2015, he published Pope Francis' Inspiring Vision, in 2016 Reflections on Mission, and in 2018 his second edition of Pope Francis' Inspiring Vision was published. Father Jim Mulrooney quotes, "He was a storyteller, never cavalier in his choice of tales." Not long after, Noel became a member of the Plenary Council 2020 facilitation team.
My first memory of Noel was when I was about 4 years old, at home in Bundaberg, and Noel used to visit with other seminarians with my brother during the holidays, and I would stand at the top of our stairs and launch myself down the stairs, and Noel would catch me. And as soon as he'd caught me, I'd say, "Again." So I think he was pretty exhausted after his holidays in Bundaberg. Then roll forward about 20 years, and my husband Declan and I were married and living in Dublin, and Noel visited us in our first apartment in Monkstown, and we didn't have much, and including a table to eat from. So Warren and Noel scouted around the very overgrown garden and managed to find an old door which was filthy dirty, covered in weeds, and they scrubbed it down and put this table onto a couple of breeze blocks, and that was our Christmas dinner table for that year. When we eventually did get a home, Noel used to visit us every second weekend, and he would send through the recipes for that Saturday night's meal. I'd get all the ingredients in, and then over a glass of wine on a Saturday afternoon, we would both cook up a storm and just talk about the events since we'd last met. And sometimes we'd still be having dessert at midnight that night, but they were really happy, happy times.
Although Noel struggled against cancer growing within his body for nearly 2 decades, he readily agreed to postpone retirement and continued working on mission for as long as he possibly could.
One of the stories I loved hearing from Noel was the parable about Kahua. Kahua was the one who worked with the Catholic priest for 6 months in search of the true religion. When it came time to leave and to go to work with the imam for 6 months, the priest was shocked, admitted that he may have been too cranky with Kahua and not paid him well enough. Noel makes the point that Kahua had watched how the priest worked, he saw what kind of faith and hope he had, and how involved he was with the community. Noel was making the point that in everything we do and in all people we encounter, we have to be the authentic sign of God's hope for the world.
Noel and I were not just Queenslanders, fellow Queenslanders, but we both came from White Bay, and we were decidedly supporters of the Maroons. We were just a year apart in the seminary, and we also shared time there later on the staff. We studied together in Rome, living at the same address. Noel and I went together on a trip through many countries in Europe, and we worked at the same time in Ireland and had lots of Noel cooked meals at my sister's place in Bray. Noel was a good friend. May he rest in peace.
Columban Father Gary Walker says, Noel liked to entertain friends, enjoyed cooking for them, and drinking red wine. Because he was busy and in high demand, there was never enough time to entertain as much as he would have liked. Noel's younger brother, Tony Connolly, says, John was a regular visitor to my home in Brisbane when his commitments and time would allow. His visits were greatly anticipated, and John always had a gift for his nephew Martin. Columban Father Kelvin Barrett says, I remember Noel as a man of hospitality. As a Columban through thick and thin, a man of the gospel, preached and lived with passion, and as a missionary who explored the outer limits of life.
Nolly! There you are. This is our message to you on your anniversary. Your light still shines on in us. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Ooh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Let it shine, let it shine.
Everybody! This little light of mine, woo! I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Ooh. Thank you, Nolly.
We love you, Nolly.
The challenge for us as Christians is to have big, humble, generous minds and hearts so that we can discover all the good around us, rejoice in it, and build on it.